Hi, have a good day. I will be talking to you about empathy. And let me introduce with you first my group mates. So we are part of group one. So my group mates are Pastor George, Adriel, and me. So I will be reporting about chapter 3, level 3 and level 4 of empathy, and they will be demonstrating with you what empathy is all about. So for me to start, I have a question. Have you ever experienced sharing to your best friend, to a pastor, to your trusted, to a relative or to your sister, and then you got disappointed because they can't get what you're trying to say, or the worst is they were misjudged or misunderstood you, especially your emotion on what you're trying to share to them, and it's so disappointing, right? And however, of course, maybe you have also experienced sharing to someone who finally you were able to say, that's exactly what I'm trying to say. Or, yes, finally, someone understood my emotion and my feeling. And that's the beauty of empathy. So, the purpose of empathy is to build relationships with counselee so that they feel heard holistically and better understand their own situation. So the kind of emotional presence that we get from the best counselors that we can get are their being with or another person is empathy. So we can see here in our slide that empathic reflection is the third level of the counseling skill. But for me, to be an effective empathizer is your facial expression, the way you listen into someone else's narratives, your being attentive and your full being, your full presence into the counseling room is very much appreciated. We cannot be the best in empathizing or in doing empathy if we will fail to reflect the content, to reflect the feeling, uh, to be a good listener, and to be the best in our presence in the room. So one of the grandparents of contemporary counseling defined empathy as the ability to sense the client's private world as if you were your own, but without losing the as if quality. You can sense the client's anger, fear, of confusion as if it were your own, without your anger, fear, or confusion getting bound up in it. So empathy enables counselors to step into their counselee's space, the world, the shoes, without bias or impositions, while still connecting to their counselee's thoughts, feelings, and experiences in an authentic way. The goal of empathy is to understand how the person you are with feels about their situation, not how we would feel towards them. It is never about us. At this level, an empathic response accurately reflects the counselor's feelings and content without adding to or subtracting from what he has communicated. So we're just doing an empathic reflection. However, in in intuitive empathy, this is the level 4 of empathy. This empathic response begins to go beyond what a counselee has stated and reflects implicit or underlying feelings of the counselee. At this level, a counselee is likely to perceive the statement as insightful, feeling as if the counselor's statement click with who they are and what they're going through. Okay, the Christian foundation of empathy. We know that Jesus Christ is the best example of the best counselor we can ever have. Imagine in the book of John, chapter 4, when he encountered the Samaritan woman, he was able to empathize to that Samaritan woman that you are thirsty. And then by just merely talking to the woman, he already empathized with her beyond gender, beyond culture, beyond uh, beyond their situation. There's no discrimination that happened, and not only that he reflected that the woman needs water, but that woman needs love and acceptance. Also, when Jesus Christ fed the 5,000, when he said that I can't let them go without eating because they're tired and they were in the heat for so long, when he raised Lazarus from the dead, when he made those miracles, what compelled him to do that is his deep empathy to the people. So there are two kinds of empathy, the cognitive and the affective empathy. So the cognitive empathy is when we are using our mental capacity to figure out what a counselee is experiencing. So a cognitive empathy is talking to another's, taking another person's perspective. It's imagining what's in like in another person's shoes. It's understanding someone else's feeling. So those are the keywords of the cognitive empathy. Perspective, we imagine, we understand. In affective empathy, it's about the counselor's emotions are engaged, and as you, as the counselor, feel with the counseling. It's sharing an emotional experience. It's feeling distress in response to someone else's pain. It's experiencing a willingness to help someone. Empathy helps connect people, moving them toward each other in a helping or healing capacity. As acclaimed author and leadership expert Stephen Covey stated, when you show deep empathy toward others, their defense energy goes down and positive energy replaces it. That's when you can get more creative in solving the problem. So what empathy is not? A while ago, I was already explained what we can do to empathize. But what actually empathy is not? Empathy is not sympathy. Sympathy happens when the as-if aspect of Rogers' definition is lost, and you can no longer distinguish between which emotion are yours and which emotion are the counselee's. In sympathy, we are feeling for the counselee rather than feeling with that counselee. Empathy is also not agreeing. Empathy is not agreeing with the emotions or the reaction of the counselee. We're not saying that you're right. We're not saying that you were wronged. Instead, empathy is simply expressing that we hear that the counselor feels a particular in light of a particular situation or circumstances. Empathy is that is not unexpressed is not empathy. I totally understand what the person is feeling, but it's all in your mind. So you have already lost the opportunity to communicate, and the power of empathy is lost. Empathy is not even a question. Empathy is a reflective statement. So watch with our interrogation. It's far too easy because of counselor insecurity of self-doubt to turn. You feel happy because you got engaged. That's our statement. But when you say you feel happy because you got engaged, that's totally different and has totally different meaning. We are actually questioning why they are happy. So empathy is not empathic. Empathy is not trying to be pushy or to prove, emphasize, or convince a counselee of anything. If you are empathic, you are unlikely to be empathic. So there are also cautions in the use of empathy. Empathy is not the best response in the midst of crisis. Although we can empathize when we are in a crisis intervention, but we must prioritize what are needed first, like their safety. We have to ground them. We have to provide first what they need before we empathize with them. So empathy is not also used to emotional counselees because they may benefit more from cognitive empathy. It can result also to compassion fatigue. Like imagine if for the whole day you were talking to 20 people, you just keep empathizing and empathizing. It can also result in compassion fatigue. So make sure you know where to breathe and to unload. It can be misused by manipulative and exploitative people. It is never for counselor's gain, but for the counselor's benefit. So be careful about that, because as counselor, we can be manipulative in giving out wrong empathy. So that's the level 3. Now we are going to the level 4, the advanced empathy. We are connecting deeply. So advanced empathy or intuitive empathy is to be heard by another human being is powerful, but to feel heard at the deepest level of our being can be truly life-changing. So what is intuitive empathy? This is an advanced level of empathy. The purpose is to help counseling connect not just conscious feelings with content, but underlying feelings, the motives, values, fears, and beliefs to their current reactions and experiences. Also called the additive empathy or deep meaning. It builds on the skill of empathy, but goes beyond mere reflecting and into a more artful form of intervention, requiring good perceiving skills, including well-honed intuition. The purpose of this skill is to help counsellors connect not just conscious feelings with content, but to also become aware of the feelings, the motives, values, and beliefs that underlie their conscious reactions and experiences. It brings greater potential for depth insight, but also greater potential to hurt or harm the helping relationship if it's delivered and appropriately in timing and wordings. So intuitive empathy is very powerful when we use it appropriately, accurately, and in the right time. It can serve as a reflecting skill. We do not discount other skills in intuitive empathy. The basics of listening, like what I mentioned a while ago, attending with full of your being. The accurate reflecting back about their experiences and feeling is as important. Until we hear their inner voice saying, yes, that's it, finally, someone understands. There are also times when they will say, no, that's not what I meant. Then our empathy will serve to clarify. So it can be a powerful tool to reflect. And then when they say, yes, that's what I feel. But when they say, no, I don't think that's what I'm trying to say, then we're using it as a clarifying skill. So what intuitive empathy is not? It's not essential. What I'm trying to say here is intuitive empathy is not essential or even appropriate for every counseling or for every counseling conversation. Where basic reflective empathy, the level 3, can and should be used in nearly over every context. Intuitive empathy is reserved. Okay, it's reserved for times when the therapeutic relationship is already strong and the goal of counseling are conducive to getting at deeper issues that are beneath a counselor's conscious awareness. Also, number 2, what intuitive empathy is not, it's not the goal. Intuitive empathy is not the goal of every empathic statement. In most counseling conversation, level 3 reflective empathy statement is the goal, to meet the counselee where he or she is. Intuitive empathy can be immensely powerful, which can make it both immensely effective when the timing is right and ineffective or even damaging if used incorrectly. So we're ending the summary of empathy. What is meaning? There are 2 empathy that we talk about, the level 3 empathy and the intuitive empathy, the level 4. Level 3, this level of empathic response accurately reflects the content and the feeling without adding to or subtracting from what they have communicated. In level 3, level 4, the empathic response begins to go beyond what a counselee has stated and reflects implicit or underlying feelings of the counselee. At this level, a counselee is likely to perceive the statement is insightful, feeling as if the counselor's statements click with who they are and what they're going through. Now, the purpose of intuitive empathy asks the counselor to draw from what we call shared humanness in order to understand and what might be happening beneath the surface of the counseling. Now, the power of empathy, the advanced skill of intuitive empathy is one of the greatest significant skill within a counseling relationship. As with other advanced skills, its potential for insight is matched with its potential for harm when we don't use it properly. Reflecting back a counselor's deepest hopes, fears, beliefs, or motivations takes both skill on the part of the counselor and rapport between the counselor and the counselee. When the privilege to use this skill has been earned and it is delivered with precise timing and insight, the potential for counseling growth and insight is immeasurable. So there, my groupmates will demonstrate with you how it is to empathize, how it is to connect, to go into someone else's shoes, just to prove that the counselor understands what the person is struggling with. So Pastor George will be the counselor and Agile will be the counselee who is struggling about expressing his feelings. So watch out for that. So thank you so much. Enjoy watching.
Hi Adriel, good evening. Thank you for coming here tonight. What is it that you want to share with me?
Ito po kasi recently po kasi feeling ko punong-puno na ako. And ayun po, feeling ko anytime sasabog na ako. I've been trying, I've had a lot of doubts regarding myself po and regarding my performances sa work and as a child. And yun nga po, I wasn't really able to express my doubts and anxiety or anything that is troubling me. And everyone thinks that I'm okay and I'm just 100% sufficient na kaya ko. But recently po talaga ay hindi eh. And it's showing but they still think that nasa face lang ako na ganito. But I really don't feel yung nakikita nila sa akin eh, and what they're expecting from me. It's something that pati ako nadi-disappoint sometimes. Because of their expectations, which is hard for me to take in. It's something that causes me to not do more or not do anything at all because of that. Sobrang tingin nila sa akin is just 100% of magaling ako, but in reality, I'm just me. I have full of doubts and recently, I just don't know what to do anymore.
I reckon that this is the first time you have shared this deep frustration, and you told me that you have difficulties in expressing your doubts and your anxieties about yourself, with work and your family, and now that they're expecting so much from you, it's all weighing down on you. And while you are carrying this so much weight, you are thinking that it is affecting your productivity and that you are no longer able to give your best. And this is causing you to feel disappointed about yourself. It must also be frustrating that you cannot understand your feelings right now.
Yes po, dati I was able to share things kahit paano and not feel invalidated. But now, whenever I try to open up kasi with people, or tell something like that, or express the doubts that I have, sinasabi lang nila, malalapasan mo yan. Tiwala ka lang kay God, kaya mo yan. Or parang, huwag mo masyado isipin yan. I think kasi, masyado siyang toxic for me. And di ko naman, minimin na iba yun sa kanila, pero lumadating kasi sa point na parang maging resilient lang daw ako, or I feel that I don't have any rights to express emotions ko, or be able to express it at all. And additional din kasi parang ayun nga, because of it really makes me feel anxious about everything to the point na minsan may mga kailangan talaga akong gawin as in urgent, but hindi ko siya magawa, and I just freeze looking at a particular activity that I need to do. Naisip ko lang isa yun nga, mukhang yung expectations na sa akin, sisira ko na. Hindi mo sa gusto kong masira, but something na parang gusto na makita nila ako na ito yung state ko ngayon. Ito yung nararamdaman ko. Parang through that, na-express ko man lang yung sarili ko.
Yes, it must be disheartening that you can't express these feelings of being tired or your need of help because of their expectations with you. It may also be painful recalling how in the past you can still share your concern with openness, but oftentimes you felt discouraged because they just dismissed your concern as a prayer issue or a spiritual issue or an important that deserves attention, which may lead you to feel rejected.
Yun nga po eh. Because of that, parang I think recently nalulunod na ako with all the responsibilities. aside from their expectations or what they think of me. Yung mga task na inaasan sa akin, because they think I'm okay, but to be honest po, it really takes toll on my it bothers me to the point na hindi na ako nakakatulog ng maaga minsan because I was thinking, I was overthinking about that. I was like, disregard ko lang siya minsan, but at the end of the night, when trying to sleep, bumabalik yung thoughts of the expectations nila sa'yo. Pero ito ka lang talaga, ito yung expect nila ang ginagawa mo. Pero ito talaga yung nagagawa mo. And the lot more na parang nakikita ko yung sarili ko overthinking with me, not really doing anything kasi nga, parang pagod na ako or feeling ko physically and mentally drained. So, tapos nadi-disappoint ko lang naman sila in the end. So, I just want to stop. I just want to be able to express, maintindihan nila how I am, na ganito ako. Gusto ko rin maintindihan na yung meron sa akin ngayon. Pero hindi ko rin kasi siya mag-gets kasi nga I don't know how to express it. So, whenever they ask me, ano ba nangyayari sa'yo? Okay ka lang ba? I don't want to explain my existence or explain how the things are with me kasi hindi ko rin siya maintindihan. So, I just tell them na parang okay lang ako. Instead of me na mag-explain and then in the end, invalidate. Okay, na okay, kaya pa naman. Gawin. So, yun na lang sinasabi ko, okay, kaya pa naman.
This must be really suffocating for you to go through because of the overwhelming expectations from your work and from your family, and it feels like you are gasping for air, no? And it must also be really bothersome for you not to be able to recognize and express your feelings appropriately, which makes it difficult for you to connect with people. It seems that this feeling is pulling you down to the point of you losing that drive to do things and to excel in things, as you have shared that you are highly keen in doing things or your task before, and since now that you feel tired, you want to be understood that you can't do all things. I wonder what might have happened or discouraged you to express your feelings, which make connecting with others so difficult.
Yes po. Yun nga din po yung ngayon I'm trying, that's why I went here po sa inyo kasi I want na alam ko po kasi naintindihan niyo ako and I'll be able to express myself without being invalidated. Tapos, ayun po, di ko po kasi alam bakit parang kailangan ko po lagi i-defend yung nararamdaman ko, yung existence ko, or baka kasi ang selfish ko lang po, or kasi inisip ko lang ng sarili ko. And na hindi nila dapat maintindihan nila ako. Pero sila hindi ko maniintindi. Baka ganun po kasi yung nangyayari. And minsan po kasi mas pinipili ko na lang po na manahimik na lang po. Kasi I felt rejected when I shared it and was invalidated several times. Like when I shared something sa leader ko, he said that, bro, baka kulang ka lang sa devotion. Or like whenever kasi po na alam niya yung mga pinagdadaanan ko, yung even sa family ko na I'm always left alone sa mga important milestones ko sa buhay, achievements, and all. So, ayun po. That is why I think that no one else can understand me better.
As you recognize that you want to overcome this predicament, you have the initiative to try and reach out to them, and I affirm you for that. It is really bothersome for you not to be able to express your feelings appropriately, which also makes it difficult for you to connect with people. So you just resort to just keeping things to yourself. I sense it's about trust issue that prevent you from relating to people openly, that you no longer trust that you will be listened to by people with understanding, treating your concern as important.
Ayun po, I try to share this with kasi po sa parents ko, hindi ko po sa pastor na nagkahandle sa amin sa school. Doon din po sa trabaho ko namin. Ayun po, I've tried to share it sa ate ko po sa church and to some trusted friends. Kasi yun po, feeling ko po kasi parang sakal na sakal ako. Parang gusto ko lang po ma-vent out. Kaya nag-try din po talaga ako kahit pa paano na maghanap talaga na magiging outlet ko for this concern ko.
Hmm. It appears that to be understood is really very important because for you, you feel validated and accepted for who you are. Can I ask this question to you? Since you have shared with important people your emotions and trust, can you tell me more about this experience?
Ngayon po, when I try to share my experiences with them, may iba po na naiintindihan po talaga ako and ask me to take it slowly. And be able to, kasi nga po, kilala naman nila ako. Pero sabi din po iba, try ko daw po mag-unwind for some reason or change of scenery if applicable, like sa lugar or places where I'm staying right now. But yun nga po gusto ko rin po sana gawin. Maganda po talaga yung suggest. Kaso, ang hirap as of now po lalo. May pandemic kasi.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. Based on what you have shared, no, I sense that, or perhaps they really want to help you too, especially in your doubts and anxieties in expressing yourself, and that they are also concerned in your well-being since you've shared that they desire for you to rest and to take things slowly. So, how is this? I wonder, how is this discouragement to express being triggered when you share your feelings with other people?
Nasanay po kasi ako na ayun po kasi, hindi rin po, ko po kasi alam po ano po yung nakita nila sa akin. And they're trying to say na ito po ako or something. Pero ayun nga po, ayun ko naman po i-display talaga yung mga nakita nila sa akin. Pero it's hard kasi feeling ko hindi ko rin talaga po yung kilala yung sinasabi nilang ako. But I'm feeling I've lost connection with myself. Yun po, kaya ayaw ko rin minsan na parang hindi ko rin masyado take high or yung mga nakikita nila sa akin. And yung suggestion ko nila regards with that, hindi ko rin po talaga alam paano. Kaya I just feel na yun nga po, akala ko po talaga nila minsan okay lang ako by the way I talk, the way I try to do my things. Parang how I approach them, parang normal lang. Kaya po, ayun po.
So, although you see that they care about you, it seems to me that you are having a dilemma of connecting to the person they think you are and even you to yourself. Can you tell me more about this?
Nasanay po kasi talaga ako siguro na gawin lahat by my own and kakayanin ko. I was used to things going well despite the troubles that I have. And that is why hindi ko na kaya and I needed help. I was scared to ask people kasi baka isipin nila na I'm not as good as what they thought. Na hindi naman talaga ako the best person for my task. Ngayon ko na na-experience na I want to rest and recharge. I felt detached from myself rin po kasi before nakayang gawin lahat kahit ako na lang kaya po. I want to think na I am responsible, reliable person po ako. That's why I try to do things to my best capacity. Kaso ngayon po, I think it's different. Parang gusto ko lang magtulong or worse, minsan gusto ko napabayaan ko na yung mga bagay. Wala na akong pakialam or I just don't care about it. But I know na hindi ako yun. Hindi po ako kasi yun.
So you feel overwhelmed by the feeling that you think every day you have to perform and give your best because people are looking at you in a certain way, and now that you have met this feeling of wanting to rest because you are tired, it's causing you to be confused and you think somehow that you have lost your connection with your performing and always excellent self because it is the first time that you have been attuned to this side of yours that you can't do all things on your own and you wanting to rest for a little while. Adriel, I think it is important that we embrace this side of ourselves so that we know how we can find the balance. You know, it's I feel for you when you said that it's really exhausting to have the need to perform every day. And I hope, since this is our first time to talk, we can work out more on this concern in our succeeding sessions.